Thank you. Meantime, the man accused of driving his car through a crowd celebrating Halloween and who was shot by police is now headed to prison. Dontavius Levering is sentenced to 12 to 16 years. He pleaded no contest to several charges, including attempted assault on an officer and use of a weapon, not a firearm, to commit a felony. The incident happened on Halloween in 2022. Levering drove his car around barricades and into a street filled with families. Police say he was stopped by an officer who fired at the car.